suffer no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah, refuse. Bond it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it. They told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie. I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like told me, keep on running toes. They gon' take them. Used to lose, built to win. Applied myself, I felt it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out. I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss. I pay for the cost. I'm winning to win. Yeah. Refuse to lose. I'm built to win. Applied myself.
Welcome back to CTC. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm back for another episode. I know y'all just saw me about 45 minutes ago, but of course, I got to preview the conference championship games, and I'm not doing it by myself. I got my boy, longtime friend of the show, Ace. You know, he's on the first episode. He's on not all my previews, but he's on a lot of my previews. And we got the boy right here, leader of the Refuse to Lose Network, president, the one that started it all. We got my boy Joe, Texas fan, so his team is in conference championship week, unlike ours. But hey, tell everybody how y'all feeling. What's up, Joe?
Hey, I'm feeling good. Ready to talk some sports. Let's get it.
What's up, Ace?
Yeah, man, I'm feeling good despite the fact that we're not in the conference championship, but it took a week to feel this good.
Hey, man, yeah, man. I know that one hurt. I know we talked about it in our little chat. We talked about it in the college football chat, which, by the way, if you're not a member of the chat, become a member, join the chat. But before we talk about these conference championship games, I would like to ask you to leave a like, comment, share, subscribe. Helps the channel, helps the network. It helps my channel, CTC, by way of the Refuse to Lose Network. We got the main show featuring Joe, Tomo, and Dave live tonight, 7 o'clock. They're normally live Tuesday and Friday, 7 at 8:30. We got Unfazed every Tuesday. AJ, you hating. Ryan's got the W. Every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. We got Dave's Doghouse highlights and lowlights of sport. We have BWT, Baseball with Teddy, who went live 2 days ago. All your baseball content through there. You know, the heat is on, trying to get Juan Soto. We got fantasy football with Coach Coombs. Coach, you know, some teams, some leagues, playoffs might be next week, might be in 2 weeks. Joe, when the Refuse to Lose playoffs start?
This is the last regular season.
So boom, next week. Yeah. So the heat is on, man. Some people battling for positioning. Some people might be already in the consolation bracket. Some people already number 1, number 2. But that's fantasy football with Coach Coombs. You're trying to get an advantage. Check him out. We got in the red corner boxing episodes. I know Tank fight next year, like in March. So we got that coming up. We got other fights coming up. So make sure you tune in to In the Red Corner featuring Ty, Ricky, and Tomo for all your boxing updates. No exhibitions. We got Kings Talk with Joe Jordan. Joe just did an episode last night with the Kings and Grizzlies. So if you want to know about the Kings, post-game, rumors, updates, trades, anything like that, check that out. We got RBO, Road Ballers Only. Vaughn did an episode, was on hiatus, but he's back. Did an episode yesterday. Went over NBA Cup. He went over top 25, under 25, and maybe Ant-Man might be a little overrated. So make sure you check that out as well. And I believe that's all the shows we have on the network. So please like, comment, share, subscribe to them as well. And if you like what you're listening to, stick with us. Now, before we move on, just got some comments to read. Shout out Daniel. This first one says, yo, what up, Daniel? Then we got Dave. He said, yeah, unlike ours. Man, what? Hey, my team ain't have a chance. South Carolina might have, but Michigan State ain't have a chance. And then he says, Juan Soto to Boston. No, I don't think so, brother. But I wouldn't be. I do like the Yankees over Boston. I ain't gonna lie, but it's true. I'm sorry. I've always been that way. But let's get into these games. And the first game we have for y'all today is actually Jacksonville State, Jack State Gamecocks versus Western Kentucky in a rematch. They played each other last Saturday. Jack State, lost that game. Western Kentucky came out on top of that one at their house. But this one is at Jacksonville, Alabama, not Jacksonville, Florida, Jacksonville, Alabama. Jack State comes into this game as 4.5-point favorites. Now, I want to talk about the game last week a little bit. So, again, like I said on my show a little earlier ago, Jack State, they had a tough time running the ball against this Western Kentucky defense, who stepped up tremendously in the run defense. Also, Tyler Huff did get hurt. Now, Tyler Huff should be a go in this game. I feel like Tyler Huff could have came back if Jack State had something to play for, but with the Conference USA Championship game already wrapped up, they decided to just let Logan Smothers finish the game off. I think Tyler Huff will be back, and I think that is huge for both the run game with Jack State and the passing game. Now, I will say that they have to step up with the passing game against Western Kentucky. They can't just be one-dimensional. Western Kentucky showed that it's going to be a long day if that's the case. While Western Kentucky's Caden Veltkamp has been money all year for the boys, finding guys like Dalvin Smith, Keyshawn Johnson, Easton Messer, Katie Hutchinson. They've just been really good passing the ball. A pretty solid defensive team. I think they're a bit underrated defensively. I know Liberty made them look bad in the run game 2 weeks ago, but I think a pretty solid defensive team. But I think Jack State, they saw what Western Kentucky did. Western Kentucky had more to play for, so they obviously had to win that game, because if they didn't win it, Sam Houston State, they were in the Conference USA Championship game against Jack State. So they kind of had to show more of their hand. Jack State might have kept it a little vanilla. I think Rich Rod's going to have some stuff ready that he didn't want to show last week. I'm going to go to Ace. Ace, talk about the game for me.
Yeah, I mean, so to piggyback off of what you said, I think Jackson State definitely kept it very vanilla because they knew what was at stake and they knew the possibility of playing this team the very next week, you know. They didn't need the game, and I think that's why I think Jackson State will definitely come out and Rich Rod will have a very good game plan against Western Kentucky and take advantage of a very bad rushing defense with Western Kentucky, you know. Jackson State is already averaging 300 yards per game in the last 9 games, I believe. Yeah. And even with Tyler Huff questionable, I think they can still go in there and, you know, control the line of scrimmage and really get in there and take a win in the conference championship, especially being at home.
Yeah, I just want to stop you real quick. It's either Jack State or Jacksonville State. You keep saying Jackson.
I'm sorry, Jacksonville State.
People won't think of the Deion Jackson State. That's why. Joe, talk about this game for me.
Yeah, y'all kind of said the same thing that I have in my notes right here. That Jacksonville State, they actually, you know, they didn't need this game last week. Western Kentucky was going all out. They needed this game to get to this game we are right now. Tyler Huff did get hurt later in the game. He had, like you said, a game time decision. I do think Western Kentucky, they was able to move the ball on them last week. And like you said, Jackson State had a hard time running the ball, but they are dominant in the run game. That's all they do basically. But and Western Kentucky aren't that great when they're not at home, you know. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville State on this one.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. Western Kentucky is a completely different team on the road than they are at home. And I do want to talk about the receivers real quick, Michael Petway and Cam Vaughns. I do feel like some plays were left out on the field. There was some missed throws. They were able to get behind the defense just a little bit, but weren't able to connect. I do think they'll try to establish Trey Stewart more, their bell cow running back. So I am rolling with Jack State to win this game. I do think they could stick to the run more. I think, like I said, Rich Rod's going to have a different game plan, not a completely different game plan, but a different game plan nonetheless. And I think they do a better job staying ahead of schedule. And that's what Jack State offense really is about: tempo and staying ahead of schedule. If you get them to punt the ball and stay behind the chains, that's where it's kind of dangerous for the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. But I do think they're able to stay ahead of schedule, picking up first downs, moving the chains, and ultimately scoring the ball in the end zone. Ace, who you got in this game?
I have Jacksonville State winning the game, but I will say I do think that Western Kentucky does have a chance because Jacksonville State doesn't have a very good pass rush. And when Veltkamp has time in the clean pocket, he can be pretty efficient throwing the ball around. But it is hard to beat teams twice, especially, when you're in a major conference. So I really think, like you said, Rich Rod definitely has a great game plan, especially with the tape that he has on those boys, a week to prepare. I got to go with Rich Rod.
Yeah, I feel you. I do like J-Rock Swain, though. J-Rock Swain on that D-line, I do like him. They don't have a Jalen Green. Jalen Green played at JMU. What was his name last year? Can't remember his name. They had a D and go crazy last year and he left, but I can't remember his name right now. But they don't have a guy like him. But I do think J-Rock Swain is a good defensive lineman for the Gamecocks. I do think he might at least get one sack. But I do agree that Caden Veltkamp might have some time, and he gets dangerous when he has time.
Their passing offense has regressed in the past few weeks, though. They're not as sharp as they were earlier in the season. And I think that's definitely going to make a difference as well.
Okay. So we got a comment. Dave says, "Oh, my basketball. Trust me, we at least have a chance on Soto." And then he picks Jack State as well to win the game. So everybody's in agreement. We do have Jack State. I do think the game is close. I am leaning towards taking the 4.5 points with Western Kentucky. I am leaning that way.
And sorry, Carlos. And also the fact that the Western Kentucky needed this game. That game came down to the wire last week. It came down to the wire, so it was a low scoring game. So. I mean, the fact that the importance of that game in Western Kentucky, you would think that they would come out and like make a statement, but it was so close. It's hard to go against Jack State to me.
Yep. 50 yards. It came down to a 50-yard field goal at the end of the ball game to win it. Next game we got Mountain West Championship, the game that I think everybody's looking forward to tonight. We got UNLV at Boise State in the rematch. Now, the spread was 3.5 this morning. It's now gone up to Boise State being 4.5 point home favorites. Game is 8 o'clock on Fox. Now, if you remember the game not last year, remember the game? It was about like a month and a half ago. Ashton Jeanty was kind of kept in check. Yeah, he got some good numbers, but he took a lot of carries to do so. He scored a touchdown late in the ball game. But Jackson Woodard, the middle linebacker for UNLV, he had his fingerprints all over that game. And it came down to a last-minute drive. Boise State was able to pull out the win at the end of the ball game. But these last couple of weeks, Boise State actually has been kind of starting off slow offensively. And defensively, they've been kind of giving up some plays. Now, you can look at the San Diego State game, and that was a different game. But it's also San Diego State offensively. They were just led by that running back, Armstead. But I do like Boise State in this matchup. I do think it's going to be a little different. This is why. Malik Hodge-Williams was also kind of new in that offense. That was kind of around the time where the Matt Soka news came out, where he was transferring due to not getting what he was promised due to NIL. And so, yes, we've seen Hodge-Malik-Williams at Campbell, but we don't know how he was going to look in this specific offense. And I do like McCoy and these defenders against Ricky White and Jacob DeJesus. UNLV is going to be run the repliant. They're going to rely on the run as well as Boise State. I think Boise State being at home is also a huge difference in that ball game. You got the blue turf. You're in Idaho. I think it's a time zone difference. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I do like Boise State at home more than I like them on the road. I went to Ace versus Joe. Give me something about this game.
So, okay, this one's a little tricky. All right, so the last time they played, Boise State wasn't fully healthy either. We got to point that out. They weren't fully healthy. They had some missing guys, and UNLV were healthy. But I don't know, man. Like I know, I think Ashton Jeanty got hurt also last game in the second quarter, and that's why he also struggled. You could say that, but Hodge-Malik-Williams, y'all, I don't know. I got like a butterfly feeling that he gonna have a big game. He's gonna have a big game against Boise State. I feel like they did a good job against them. It came down to another basically like a game-selling drive they had to do at the end of the game. I feel like UNLV had some key penalties also down the stretch that hurt them, that extended those drives. But they did a good job on Ashton Jeanty. I think they will do it again. And I think that Hodge-Malik-Williams will have an awesome game. I think he's gonna be the X factor. Last game, I think he had over 100 rushing yards last game against them.
He was able to, I don't know what exactly he had, but he was able to run the ball.
Yeah, he was able to run the ball, and I feel like his game kind of been up and down all year, but he's been consistent in the run and running the ball all year since he's been starting. So I'm leaning towards UNLV, tell you the truth, to go with the upset. Yeah.
I'm not mad at that. Ace.
Yeah, I actually agree with you guys. I'm leaning UNLV as well. I think that they have a very good foundation to build on based off the game plan that they used last game against Boise State, where they held Jeanty to 128 yards, and that's on over 30-plus carries.
Yeah, a bunch of carries.
So I think that, with that, they definitely have a very good starting base. I love the fact that you guys brought up Hodge-Malik-Williams, because I think that his dual threat ability is definitely going to be key in this game and making Boise State's defense make decisions that he can exploit, whether it's RPO stuff and different kind of whatever intricate things that they can put into the offense that he can get the ball out quickly and efficiently against this Boise State defense. Now, one thing I am concerned about is that Boise State has done very well rushing the quarterback. They have sacks on 9.6% of all dropbacks this year, and they've only allowed 2.6% of sacks on dropbacks on offense. So I think this game reminds me a lot of like an NFL divisional matchup. We got two teams that are very familiar with each other, two teams that are going to be playing in a cold weather environment, being in Boise, Idaho. Also, high stakes of this game. You know, it's giving me like a very low scoring, gritty game kind of vibe. And I think if it's that, and UNLV can key in on Genty, because I would much rather sell out on a run and make Maddox
Imagine.
Madison, try to beat us with his arm, because I'm not so sure that I'm convinced that he can do that. So I definitely like UNLV. And if Boise doesn't get to an early lead, I'm not too sure if they can, make the comeback.
Okay, real quick, Carl.
What do you think?
I was going. So one of my points was that if Boise State can get a lead, they do a good job maintaining that lead. Obviously, with the run game and all that stuff. So but that's the key, I think, getting that early lead. They don't get that early lead is going to be favorite to UNLV.
All right, so here's my thing, right? I do agree with what a lot of y'all with a lot of what you're saying, but one, I'd like to point out that Boise State did a really good job with Ricky White and Jacob DeJesus in their first matchup. Ricky White, we all know, the explosive receiver, Michigan State transfer, that over 1,000 yards in last year. I want to say he came over 1,000 this year. I'm not sure, but he had 50 in that game against Boise State. Boise State defense is really good. Now, like you said, Ace, like I brought up too, he had 33 carries, 128 yards. They did a really good job keeping Genty in check. And I honestly think Madsen had to make some throws to win that game, and he made some. He made some. He didn't make them all, but he made some. And then Genty did a good job finishing. I think they should use more of the play action to help Maddox Madsen get some guys like Cam Camper and Latrell Caples open field to get them the ball. I think they should come out, and I think first play should be a play action, because we all think first play is going to Genty, right? UNLV is probably going to sell out, like you said. Let's run a play action. Let's get these guys questioning how much we use Genty. Let's get these guys not being able to sell out. And let's have him think about it at least. Because like I said, man, Jackson Woodard, the stud middle linebacker, he made play after play after play in that game. And I think he's so underrated. He doesn't get talked about enough for the Running Rebels of UNLV. I do think Boise State win because this game is at home. And I think the home crowd being there, it could. I understand. I think Hosmerly Williams is a 6-year senior, if I'm not mistaken. And I understand he has age, but this is the biggest game he's ever played in. Maddox Madsen, Ashton Genty. This is a Mountain West rematch. They played each other last year in the Mountain West Conference Championship, correct? Yep. So this is a Mountain West Championship rematch. Danielson, he was the coach there last year. These guys have that poise and that experience of being there last year. While Malik Williams, he hasn't played in nothing similar to this at Campbell. This is his first year at UNLV. This is completely different to him. And like you said, they're able to rush the passer. Maybe they rattle him, they get to him. And he definitely has to lean on running the ball, or they become one-dimensional. And then Boise State can, once you become one-dimensional, it's easier to beat you. So I do lean Boise State to win. Now, I also lean the points with UNLV. I was leaning with the points with 3.5. I lean 4.5 points with UNLV, but I lean Boise State because I think Danielson is going to come in with a different game plan. He's not going to – I don't think he's going to be so Genty heavy to start the game. Also, I like to point out that UNLV did have the lead early in that game, and Boise State took it before half, I think due to an interception. So they can force some turnovers. That's key as well.
Yeah, I agree with you with a lot of what you said, especially if we're talking about the points. I'm on UNLV all day. This is a team that's 6-0 against the spread as an underdog since last year. And, when you have a team that's playing somebody that they played already and already have familiarity with, you kind of got to back them.
Yeah. So I'm on Boise State. You two are on UNLV, just straight out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they can pull it out. Not going to lie.
All right. So next, we move on to the AAC championship game. Also, before we move on, Boise State was my Mountain West championship winner. So I'm sticking with my guns as well.
Yeah. We actually have a lot of teams that we talked about in our conference our 10 teams to watch. I believe I have at least 4 that are playing in the conference championships right now.
Yeah, we had Boise State, we had Tulane, I
had Tulane as well.
We had no. I was about to say a team, but that wasn't on the 10 teams. Miami of Ohio, I had them. They're in the championship game. Yeah. I had Jack State. I didn't have them winning, but I had them in it. I had them losing to Liberty. And they're in it. So yeah, that's why you watch, man. The 10 teams to preview with me and Ace every year. It's something to watch. But we move on to the AAC championship game where Tulane is favored by 5.5 points at Army at West Point. Now I don't think it's not snowing still, is it? I know it was in New York Sunday, but I think the snow is pretty much done at Army. I think because Army's the winner. I mean, Army's the host because Tulane lost to Memphis. So that's why they're the host. I'm still mad about that. I would have perfectly predicted Tulane season if they'd won the game, but it is what it is. But anyway, let's talk about the game real quick. So Tulane comes into this as 7-1 or 8-1. No, there's 8-1 in American Conference play. Really good run team led by Mekhi Hughes, stud sophomore running back. Darian Mensah had an exceptional freshman year. Came out of nowhere. I know it was crazy. A lot of people saw when he beat out Todd Thompson for that starting spot, but he's shown why he beat out Todd Thompson. Had a phenomenal year as a freshman. You got guys on that outside like Mario Williams, Euclid Brown in the slot, Shaz Preston. I'm forgetting another receiver, but Dante Fleming on the outside. You got all those guys on the perimeter. And Army, while they are good, they win the time of possession. They take 12 to 13 plays and score touchdowns. They run the option, so you have to be gap sound discipline on the defensive end. Do they have the athletes to keep up with Tulane? Is always the question with military academies in general. Do they have the athletes? And that's what killed them against Notre Dame. They didn't have the athletes. Notre Dame was able to score at will while stopping their offense, and it led to a blowout. And with those guys on the perimeter, I don't know if Army has the athletes to keep up with those guys on the perimeter. And Darian Mensah being able to use his legs mixed with Mekhi Hughes running the football. I'm going to roll with Tulane to win this game. I just think they are too much offensively. Defensively, they had a bad game last week, but I think they bounced back from that this week. Because, yet again, Army does not have the athletes that Memphis has. So I'm rolling with Tulane, and I'm going to go to Ace with this one.
Yeah, man, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think both teams are going to run a lot. And I think Tulane is probably going to take, a page out of Army's playbook with the time of possession thing. This Army defense has been regressing very badly the last 3 years. And last 3 games. And I know Notre Dame was one of them. And, that is a complete talent discrepancy, that we can kind of throw out. But look at last week. UTSA had very much success running the ball against them. And that's a pass first team, and on top of the fact that Army doesn't have a pass rush, I think that their defense is really going to struggle to get off the field. And, also the Tulane defensive line, like they're pretty good. And when you're playing a team like Army, there's only one thing that you have to worry about is the run. So when you have a pretty good defensive line and they can just pin their ears back and just find the ball, granted, it's probably going to be a little difficult to figure out who exactly has it, but all they have to do is pin their ears back and go. That's a pretty simple game plan, and I think they can take very, very much advantage of that.
I will say before you go, Joe, I don't know necessarily if I would say pin my ears back and go, because you can do that and get out of position real quick, and then Army can gas you with that option. But I get what you're saying. You don't have to necessarily worry about too much. It's pretty much one-dimensional football.
Yeah, I just mean that they have one job basically.
Yeah, I get that. Do your job. As military academies, you have to do your job, or you will get burnt. I do agree with that.
They one-dimension, like you said. I agree with both of y'all. First of all, I think Tulane is probably is like another tier in their conference than anybody else. And I felt like Tulane could compete with like actual good teams. When I look at their schedule, and I see that Notre Dame was the only team that Army really played that's like from a Power 5 school, and they got smacked 49-14. But then you see Tulane, they go against Oklahoma, they go against Kansas State, and both games were competitive. So like I'm leaning toward what Carl was saying, like far as the athletes, does like the personnel for Army doesn't match up with Tulane's personnel, which I don't think it does. And Army is one dimensional. All they do is run. Every play they run, they might throw the ball 5 to 8 times a game. So I'm going to go with Tulane, and I might take the points also with Tulane.
Yeah, I think I'm taking the 5.5 with Tulane too. Also, I want to give Bryson Daly some love because Bryson Daly is taking his Army team to heights that I thought I would never see. These are heights like since like the 30s and 40s Well, I mean, so I do want to give Bryson Daly some love, but I also want to give some love to John Summerall. John Summerall won the last 2 Sun Belt championships at Troy, and now he's playing for an American Athletic Conference in his first year at Tulane. So I just want to show Summerall some love. I think I gave that higher at AA plus too. So I love it for John Summerall. And Ace probably remember when we was in the preseason, and I was talking about Leon picking Memphis, and I was like, dang, y'all don't trust John Summerall? Like, this is what John Summerall does. And look at where he is now.
Hey, man, the proof is in the pudding. Look what he did with Troy, you know?
Yep.
And I also got to agree with you. Bryson Daly definitely deserves all his flowers. I mean, about, 33 touchdowns combined from passing and rushing throughout the whole season. I mean, he definitely made this Army team a lot more formidable than they ever would have been. So, kudos to him for sure.
All right, so 2 comments before we move on to Saturday's conference championship games. Dave says Boise State for the dub, and then he says he's going with Army over Tulane, so he's on the upset. I don't know about it, Dave, but we'll find out tonight. All right, so we're going to move on to Saturday's first conference championship game. In the Big 12 game, the Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship game, we have Iowa State at Arizona State. Now, I want to say I had Iowa State in this game. I got to find my notebook. I'll look for it after I'm done. At Arizona State. First of all, before I start talking about this game, I apologize to the Arizona State Sun Devils fan base. I think I had y'all last in the Big 12 or somewhere toward the bottom. So yeah. I would, 1, like to apologize. 2, shout out Sham Levitt, Michigan State transfer quarterback. He has been balling. 3, Jordan Tyson is so underrated. I don't hear enough people talk about Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver for Arizona State. He, quite honestly, is one of the best receivers in the country, in my opinion. You can debate me if you want. I'm not saying he is the best, because the best is in Arizona, but he is one of the best in the country this year, and he's only a freshman. So shout out to them. But let's talk about this game real quick. So Arizona State, they come into this game they're pretty good on both sides of the ball. They're pretty good on the defensive end and the offensive end. While in my opinion, I think Iowa State is like Matt Campbell always is. He's better on the defensive end than the offensive end. And I'm going to be completely honest. To me, they're a little overrated on the defensive end of the ball. I think they can be had. And offensively, if you just take away Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins, Rocco Beck really don't got nowhere to go with this football. So I'm going with Arizona State in this game because you got guys like Cam Scatterbo, the workhorse running back at Arizona State. His second year, he's been putting up super numbers, and he's a guy you do not want to tackle in the fourth quarter. You got a guy like Xavier Guillory, who's a nice complementary piece to Jordan Tyson. Just talked about Jordan Tyson. And you also got other guys on the perimeter for Arizona State. Sam Levitt, he's a dual threat guy. He can beat you with his arm. He can beat you with his leg. He is super dangerous on the ground, and he can make throws on the run. He's been extraordinarily a huge difference maker from Arizona State from guys like they had last year. They had Emory Jones and Bangade. They had Drew Pine, I think. Drew Pine, who went to Mizzou. They just had guys who just turned the ball over, not making good decisions. Jaden Rashada last year, he didn't play well either. So he's been a complete 180 of what Arizona State has. I'm rolling with Arizona State in this game. I think they put up points with Iowa State. They make Iowa State have to put up points. And that's not really their forte. They want to keep you low scoring, and they just want to have timely drives to make it harder for you to score. And one game that sticks out to me is the Texas Tech game against Iowa State. Texas Tech, Taj Brooks had a game on the ground. Cam Scatterbo and Taj Brooks, they're like the same back in my opinion. Then Josh Kelly had a day against Iowa State. I think that might be Jordan Tyson. So I'm rolling with Arizona State. I think I'm going to go with you, Joe, as I look for my notes.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Arizona State too. This is a keynote. This is the first time these teams ever played each other. That's crazy, and they meeting here in the championship game, and it's a big game for both teams. But I think Iowa State won't be able to stop the run. I think the run game for Arizona State will be lethal. I think they will have their way. I do think that for Iowa State to win this game, Rocco will have to have a great game. I mean, he has to be outstanding for them to win. And I think one of the key things for Arizona State is when they get to the red zone, they got to be able to punch it in. I think they struggle at times in the red zone. That's one thing Iowa State could hang their hat on, is stopping the red zone, stopping them in the red zone. Like I said, Arizona State been struggling. But at the end of the day, I think the run game will be too much for Iowa State, and I'm going to go with Arizona State.
Go ahead, Ace.
Yeah, I lean Arizona State, and I think it's pretty much because of the red zone difficulties that Iowa State has had throughout the season. In red zone efficiency, they're only 117th in the nation, which is kind of crazy when you think about Matt Campbell teams. Like Carl said, you think of them as being very defensively sound. Now, I do like Iowa State a lot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they've won their last 3 ranked matchups. They have 2 1,000-yard receivers, which hasn't happened, I think, in a little while. Their first 10-win season in school history, actually, and they had the chance to win their first conference championship since 1911. That's 112 years, man. That is insane. I like Rocco Beck. I think he's a gritty quarterback. He can basically do whatever you ask of him. I think they're a resilient team. They have a pretty good secondary. However, the reason I think Arizona State will win is Cam Scatterbo. He's the definition of a dog, man. This guy, he averages 5.7 yards a carry while Iowa State allows 5 yards to carry, Also, another game that I think back on, which I think also gives Arizona State an edge. When Arizona State played Mississippi State, who similarly runs the 3-3-5 as Iowa State does, Cam Scatterbo went for 262 yards, man. And he essentially trashed the 3-3-5 in his post-game interview. You know what I mean? So I think he's going to be very excited to, go against another defense like that. Now, I will say Jordan Tyson being out is a big, big, big blow. Yeah, he's out. He's out indefinitely.
Well, I didn't see that.
I'm not sure.
I went looking too.
Yeah, he's out indefinitely, and that's going to be a big blow to Arizona State. So I'm not too sure what Sam Levitt will do as far as to compensate for that. But I do think that Kenny Dillingham, he has this team rolling, man. He has them believing in themselves. He has them playing at a way higher level than anybody could have imagined this year. And, I think you kind of got to roll with the Cinderella story in a bit. You know what I mean? They are a team that's coming into this conference, a new team coming into this conference. They're rolling on a 5-game win streak. They have a pretty good offensive line. They're 7-0 against the spread as favorites. Despite Jordan Tyson being out, and mind you, him and Scatterbo have combined for 59% of the scrimmage yards this year for Arizona State and 62% of the touchdowns. So that is a major, major blow. But I think if Arizona State plays ball control and lets Scatterbo do his thing, they're going to end up with the win.
Yeah, a couple of things. I love the fact you brought up the 3-3-5. Now, one thing I will say is the difference between Mississippi State running it and Iowa State running it. Mississippi
Absolutely.
State was in the SEC, and they also lost to Toledo. So I feel you, but it is a difference. But that's a great point nonetheless. Now, I was going to say, I did not see that Jordan Tyson was out. I was going to say that Miles Purchase and Jordan Tyson matchup was going to be huge. But Miles Purchase will probably now be on Xavier Guillory, which that's still a big matchup nonetheless. But it is a huge blow to Arizona State offense. I still roll with Arizona State, though. Like you said, I love Cam Scatterbo going against this defense. And I think, honestly, Iowa State, they're decent at running the football. I don't think they're as good as last year. They don't feature Abu Sama as much as they did last year when they found him last year as a freshman. Which I do think they need to do a little bit more. But I like Arizona State to win this one. I found my notebook. I did have Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game. I had them going against Utah. I was banking on Cam Rising being healthy. I don't know why I did that. Cam Rising obviously is not healthy yet again, and he's actually trying to petition for another year. Bro, just go home, Roger. But nonetheless, Iowa State made it, man. I was happy for Matt Campbell. Like you said, they haven't won it. I never remember them winning. They haven't won since 1911. Iowa State honestly got on the map due to Matt Campbell. So this would be a lovely win for Matt Campbell, but I'm rolling Arizona State.
Yeah, I think these are two very important seasons for both teams. So they have all the motivation in the world, But also, even with Jordan Tyson being back, Scatterbo is a very, I think, underrated receiving back as well.
Oh, facts.
He can do basically anything that you need him to. So that's another reason why I'm not super concerned about Jordan Tyson being done. I think Kenny Dillingham, he's an offensive-minded coach already. So, you got to go with the momentum, man. They look great. Fun team.
Cam Scatterbo actually second in receiving on the team. So
There you go.
Joe, anything before we move on?
That's good.
Dave says he's rolling with the Cyclones. All right. We got the MAC championship next. I had Miami of Ohio winning the MAC, and here we are. Ohio takes on a Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio is coming into this game as 1.5-point favorites in the rematch where Miami of Ohio won 30-20 last time they played. This game, I think, man, Parker Navarro has been great on the ground. However, passing the ball, Parker Navarro has been lackluster. Besides Coleman Owen, to be honest, really doesn't have a consistent target on that Ohio offense. And I think Miami of Ohio has been doing a great job defensively all year, and I think they stifle the run of Parker Navarro, making him have to win with his arm. And I don't think Parker Navarro gets the job done with his arm. Now, one big thing for Miami of Ohio, besides the big plays they consistently hit on with Brett Gabbert and guys like Javon Tracy, Reggie Virgil, and Kay McDonald, who came back last week, is that Brett Gabbert will turn that ball over. He's like his brother. He will turn that ball over. He has to cut down on the turnovers. If they can consistently hit those big plays, cut down on the turnovers, and Keon Mosey, who led the MAC in rushing yards this year, can get going, I have Miami of Ohio winning this and making my prediction of them being the MAC champions correct. Ace, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think at the end of the day, when you look at these two teams, Miami of Ohio is the team that's, one, been there before, two, has the talent edge and a higher ceiling than the Ohio team. I mean, the Ohio team has had a great season. Don't get me wrong. Nobody really expected them to be in the conference championship. They got a lot of D2 transfers coming in, and they seem to play with a great sense of, togetherness. And, it seems to go together well. They can run the ball well. They finish drives well. But, I mean, I just don't see it, man. When it comes down to the quarterbacks, I trust Brett Gabbert. Even though he may be a little turnover prone, I trust him more than I trust Parker Navarro. And coaching-wise, I trust Miami of Ohio staff more than I trust Ohio staff. Not to take anything away from them and their Cinderella-esque run, but I think it's coming to an end. Miami of Ohio is just the team that's supposed to be there.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily would say it's a Cinderella run because they were in play for the Ohio champion, for the MAC. I believe last year it was just Toledo and Miami of Ohio got it over them. But I mean, Miami of Ohio is the defending champs too. I gotta mention that they won last year. Now the quarterback wasn't Brett. Brett was out for the year. I think it was Avion. I can't remember his last name, but he was the quarterback last year. But I will say that Ohio, this is two good defensive teams. I just like I said, I don't trust Ohio to throw the ball. And I have to bring up Trey Tyus, phenomenal running back. I believe he transferred from Northwestern. Phenomenal running back. It's going to be tough to stop him and Parker Navarro on that ground. But you got to do it and make Parker Navarro beat you with his arm. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, man. It's funny because, doing these picks, I be trying to okay, where my upset's going to be, right? And then it's hard to pick Ohio in this game. It really is because when you watch them play last game, they completely got dominated, the whole game to me. I feel like they tried to make a comeback late in the game. They was getting 3 and out to start the game. It was just tough for Ohio to go against Miami, Ohio. So I wanna be pro Parker Navarro, but like you said, Carl, when throwing the ball, he only had 80+ yards. He only had 80 yards basically in their first matchup. He's going to tuck and run. He's going to run a ball. He's good on the ground, but you got to be able to throw the ball. So I'm gonna roll with Miami, Ohio also to win this game.
And Ace, you got Miami of Ohio too, right?
Yeah, I do as well. I think that, they're just a team that when they actually do lock in, they can play a lot better than
tough to stop. Yeah, and again, I think they feast off those big plays, man. For some reason, nobody can stop those big plays that Miami of Ohio just consistently gets. I thought NIU might do it. They couldn't stop it. So I don't think anybody can.
Man, Bowling Green had a chance last week, and you saw what happened with them.
I didn't think they would though.
I mean, but I was high on Bowling Green a little bit going into the season anyway.
You were. I wasn't necessarily as high. You were definitely high on them. I just didn't think that they would stop them. Once I seen NIU couldn't do it and all these other teams couldn't do it, I'm like, I understand Bowling Green is top of the MAC this year. I just don't see nobody stopping them now. I didn't try. It's just they just hitting them. They was hitting them against Cincy early in the year, so I was just like, nobody in the MAC can do it.
Also, Ohio is 0-5 all time in the MAC championship, so maybe we should expect more of the same. People are who they are.
Yeah. Do y'all think -1.5 is a good spread for this game? Yeah, I think it's too low.
I think it's too low.
Yeah, I think at least a field goal.
Yeah. I get it's a rematch. I think it's because it's a rematch though. So like Ace said earlier, it's hard to beat a team twice. So that's probably why it's so low. But I think it's too low.
Let's get it.
All
So we
right.
all okay.
So we're gonna move on, and then I'm gonna go to the comments. We're gonna move on to the SEC championship game and the standalone slot, 4 o'clock on ABC. We have the rematch of Georgia at Texas. This was my SEC championship game prediction since the preseason. I had Georgia beating Texas, and then Texas going in and winning the SEC and the SEC championship game in the rematch against Georgia. Texas is 2.5-point favorites. Now this is actually crazy because the game is in Atlanta, right? The SEC championship game is always in Atlanta, right? Mm-hmm. So you would think that the spread would favor Georgia because this technically ain't a neutral site game. Yes, they're not in Athens, but they're in Atlanta. I'm pretty sure that's not that far of a drive. It's compared to Austin, Texas, is to Atlanta, Georgia. So that means the books really got Texas favored if they just have this as a 2.5-point favorite to Texas. Now, here's my thoughts on the game. Georgia has been struggling. They've been skating by to win games from Mississippi State to the game last week against Georgia Tech. They've been struggling to win ball games. Now, Texas, they struggled. Now, I wouldn't say they struggled, but they skated by kind of against Texas A&M. Got shut out in the second half, didn't put up any points. I actually spotted Texas A&M a touchdown in the second half with a pick six to Will Lee. But this one is close to call. It's tough for me to call because Quinn Ewers isn't 100% healthy. We saw that last week in the run. We saw that when they brought in Arch Manning for the design run. I feel like maybe if Quinn Ewers was healthier, they might have kept him in there because then it would have took Texas A&M completely by surprise when he would have ran it. But Georgia, they won the last game basically off the trenches. They dominated the trenches. Texas offense couldn't get nothing going because of that. And Georgia, despite Carson Beck playing absolutely horrendous, was able to win the game. Now, Texas found something a little bit in the second half, but it wasn't enough because the trenches, like I said, led by Michael Williams and the guys, was too much. I do think that Texas comes in with a different game plan, possibly even a better game plan. Sark is supposed to be an offensive-minded guy. Well, not supposed to be. He is an offensive-minded guy. I think he finds something to help slow down that the rush of Georgia. Carson Beck has shown that big games, he is who he is. Not good. He's just not good in big games. When games have high stakes, teams are higher ranked, the competition level is better. He just shows that he's just not it. And I think it continues to show in the SEC championship game. So I feel comfortable sticking with my guns and picking Texas to win this game. Now, since Joe is the Texas fan, I'm going to let him go.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the key right there, Carl, the trenches. That's what happened in the first game. Texas got dominated in the trenches. I mean, it looked like Texas didn't belong in the SEC. That's how bad it looked when they played Georgia. Jalen Walker, he wrecked that whole game, especially in the second half. He definitely wrecked that game. I do think Texas, first of all, don't panic. I feel like they panicked last time they played, threw Archie Manning in there, kind of threw off everything to me. And then stick with the run. I feel like they abandoned the run. They started throwing the ball too many times. Texas, I feel like they are at their best when Quinn Ewers is not throwing the ball a lot. They depend on they feel their run game, and I do think they will force a lot of turnovers like they did the first game. Carson Beck threw 3 turnovers, but they didn't capitalize on the turnovers at all. So I feel like those are key things. Like they got to win in the trenches. They got to neutralize Jalen Walker because he wrecked that game. I mean, he was in the backfield. They got to be able to protect Quinn Ewers. And y'all, how I feel about Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers is my guy, but since that game, I've noticed when he's pressured, he's a different quarterback. He is. And a lot of college quarterbacks, you judge them based on how are they when they're pressured. And Quinn Ewers not the same quarterback, so they got to protect Quinn Ewers, and they got to capitalize on all the turnovers they will force by Carson Beck. Oh, yeah, and I also think ETN, he had a slow start, but he started to heat up as the game went on against Texas last time they played also. I feel like they got to do a good job against him, too.
He may not be there.
I'm going with Texas, though.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be there. I think Nate Fraser's probably going to be the starter again this
year. Oh, bro, okay.
Yeah,
I'm going with Texas. Come on now. Hold on.
Yeah. I love a lot of the stuff that you said, Joe. I think running is definitely going to be the key to how Texas win this game in the trenches. When you look at Georgia's past few games, they have really, really struggled against the run and rushing quarterbacks. UMass ran for 226 yards against UMass. Then Georgia Tech, even though it was eight overtimes, they ran for 260. And then when you look at the offensive side of Georgia, this running game isn't elite. They have wide receivers that lead the nation in drops. and most of their yards come from yak. You know what I mean? What's that smell? Oh, it's Carson Beck. He stinks. This guy thinks he is not the guy that you want in these big games making these decisions. I love Kirby Smart. I think that he's still the best coach in the SEC. I think he's still one of the better recruiters in the nation. But Texas are the new kids on the block, and they are running it right now, man. I don't really see how they can put it together unless they just have some ungodly changes on offense and they become super explosive and they have a very similar game defensively that they had last game. I don't think Georgia can really win this game. You brought up Arch Manning. I actually like the idea of Arch Manning playing a pretty good portion of this game because when I think of Arch Manning now, I see his rushing ability. You know, he could definitely. I ain't gonna say take over the game, but he can definitely affect the game with some key rushes and key moments, kind of like how Justin Fields does for the Steelers. We can talk about that on Sunday.
Hey, don't bring that back over here, bro.
All right. Texas ran the ball 50 times last week versus the 27 times that they ran it versus Georgia the first time. Mind you, only getting 29 yards. So I think it's going to be a very different Texas team this go around. Steve Sarkisian knows now that he has the players that can control the clock, control the rushing game, and above all, they want revenge. You know what I mean? You a new team coming into the SEC, the best conference in NCAA football, and it's your first year. You can possibly win the conference championship. You got to go for that.
Yeah, I agree a lot with both of y'all saying. I really do. And let's not forget, like we talk about the trenches. It was so bad that they had more sacks that game than they had in that season at that point. So I think Georgia's replicating that again. No, I do like the fact that Joe said they need to run the ball more. Why? It gets those pass rushers not being able to pin their ears back and going after Quinn Ewers every rip. When you introduce the run, it kind of takes the heat off the pass rushers because they have to now play gap sound football. They can't just rush upfield because now a running back could be running right in that gap they were supposed to control, and now he's at least getting 4, 5, 6 yards to carry. So it kind of takes the heat off the pass rush. So I do think that they need to run Quintravion Wisner a lot more. And Gunner, I think the tight ends for both teams are going to be huge. I know for Georgia the past couple weeks, I've been saying it. They got to feature the tight ends. They got Oscar Delp, Lucky Lawson, and Ben Yurcek, which I'm disappointed in the amount of that Ben Yurcek is being used, but they have them. Texas, they got Gunnar Helm, who's the leading receiver on the team. So the tight end battle is going to be huge in this game as well. I'm going with Texas. I think Sarkisian figures it out. They don't give up the amount of sacks they gave up last time, which was insane and very crucial to why Georgia was able to have all those turnovers, but not die by all those turnovers. So yeah, I'm going Texas.
And also, I agree with you, Ace. With the Archie Manning comment you said about integrating them into the offense, I agree with that. I feel like the last game when they brought him in, it was a panic move. It was more so like, let's try to give him a different look. Quinn Ewers not playing well right now. Throw Archie Manning, and what that does, I feel like it stirs up bad energy within your quarterback room and stuff like that. Quinn Ewers coming back. You know what I mean? All that stuff, the win is natty, all that stuff. So I feel like throughout the game, yes, throw Archie Manning in there because he brings that whole new dynamic in the offense, like you said, with his legs, and he can also throw the ball. So I'm down for that. Down for
destroy the quarterback's confidence.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%, Joe. Also, I forgot what I was about to say. Never mind.
It's all good. It's all good.
I love the fact that you brought up the tight ends, Carl, because when you look at the Georgia versus Tennessee game, by far Carson Beck's best game of the year, they utilized the tight ends so much, and they got him in the place where he was comfortable. He could spread the ball around, and he wasn't worried about people jumping down his back. Exactly. They have to have a game plan similar to that to have any kind of chance against this elite Texas defense.
Exactly, and that was my key for that game that week because he got to use his tight ends, but we'll see. All right, so I got some comments to catch up on. Dave says, I'm going with the Cyclones. I think I said that, but just in case I didn't. He says Oklahoma State and talks to fire Mike Gundy, which is absolutely insane. In standoff due to dispute on restructuring his contract. He literally just took y'all to the Big 12 championship last year. Yes, he had a down year, but Allen Bowman looked bad. They looked bad because of Bowman, not because of Gundy.
And Bowman's supposed to be coming back or trying to get another year.
He's trying to get another year, yes. He's trying to get another year. He's trying to get his 8th year. Same guy that had his last first day of school picture at the beginning of the season. He's going to have to possibly make another first day of school picture next season. Yes. I don't think he's going back to Oklahoma State, though.
Get a job.
And then Dave is going with Miami of Ohio, and he's also going with the Texas Longhorns for the win. Now we're done with the SEC. We're going to move on to the Sun Belt Championship game. We have Marshall at Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajun, coming into this game as 5.5-point home favorites. This is a neutral site, but favorites 7:30 on ESPN. These teams did not play each other. So tiebreakers decided who was the host team, and the host team ended up being Louisiana due to tiebreakers. Now, Louisiana may or may not be without Ben Woolridge. I've been searching the internet, and for some reason, most of the stuff comes up from 2023. I don't know why, but I've seen one article that said Ben Woolridge was a player to look out for in the game, which kind of leads me to believe he might play. But if he does not play, Chandler Fields, he's has enough reps to where he can kind of step in and lead that Louisiana offense. Now, I'm gonna talk about Marshall first. I got some notes for Marshall. Marshall was led by Braylon Braxton, who is currently 7-0 as the Marshall starting quarterback. He has 17 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He only has like 1,400 yards though through the air. I think Marshall honestly is led by AJ Turner, the running back. 104 carries, 864 yards, and 6 touchdowns on the year for AJ Turner. He's a very explosive guy who can make some big plays. Impact play on defense. Me and Ace talked about him before the show. Defensive end Mike Green, 16 sacks on the year at the defensive end spot. They're 5th in scoring offense, 4th in scoring defense, and this is in the MAC. This is just in the MAC. Not MAC, Sunbelt. 3rd in rushing offense, 9th in rushing defense, 12th in passing offense, 4th in passing defense. They're 6th in red zone offense, 4th in red zone defense, which I think kind of plays into Louisiana's hands. Now, Louisiana can be balanced at times on offense, but they want to run the ball, and I think them being 9th in rushing defense in the Sunbelt plays into that. Now, with Louisiana, again, Chandler Fields or Ben Woolridge, we do not know yet. Bill Davis, the leading rusher with 150 carries, 777 yards, and 9 touchdowns, while Lance LeGrange, if y'all remember Lance LeGrange, he was a quarterback that he committed to Maryland like 4 or 5 years ago. He's now at wide receiver for the University of Lafayette Raging Cajun. He's their leading receiver, 44 catches, 733 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Now, Louisiana is 2nd in scoring offense. They are 2nd in scoring defense, 6th in rushing offense, 5th in rushing defense, 2nd in passing offense, and 2nd in passing defense. They're 3rd on third down percentage on offense, but they're 11th in getting off the field on third down percentage. They are 1st in time of possession, 1st in red zone offense, 1st in red zone defense, and they have an impact linebacker in Casey Osai with 133 total tackles and a forced fumble on that defensive end, and he's going to be seeking out AJ Turner all game. I'm rolling with Louisiana. I think Louisiana offense is going to be a bit too much for that Marshall defense. I think they're going to do a good job forcing Braylon Braxton to beat them with his arm. And yes, he has a bunch of touchdowns, but I don't know if he can quite frankly do that against this Louisiana defense. They made Jordan McLeod not look good. They've been doing really, really well on the defensive end, and that's why I'm rolling with Louisiana. I'm going to let Ace go ahead and take this one.
Yeah, Carl, I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. I think Louisiana is just the better team going into this game. They are the team that a lot of people expected to win the Sun Belt before the season started anyway. I think the quarterback situation, it could be a bit iffy, but I think no matter who they have back there taking the snaps, there's going to be an experienced guy. It's going to be a guy who has been there before and understands, what they want to achieve as an offense. Mike Green, as you mentioned earlier, he can definitely be a showstopper. He can definitely disrupt that Louisiana offense. But I think they may just have a little bit too many weapons on the other side for Marshall. I also like the fact that they have one of the better kickers in the nation, Kenneth Almendarez. I never really know how to say his last name, but I know he's won. I know he's only missed two field goals this whole year and has made, I think, all 40 or 40 plus of his field goals. So, I mean, if you're asking me if the better team is walking in there offensively, defensively, and on special teams, how can I really choose against that,
100% agree. Go ahead, Joe.
All right, this is my upset pick right here. I'm going with Marshall. And the reason why I'm going with Marshall is because I feel like Marshall, like you said, they're not going to pass the ball a lot. They like to run the ball. Louisiana, they don't have the best run defense in their conference. I don't think they have a stellar run defense. I do think Mike Green will wreck this game. I do. Mike Green will have a good game. And what y'all think about Marshall's secondary? I feel like they have a really good secondary also.
I think it's cool, but I think it can be had.
Okay, I feel like they got a very disruptive secondary. But I do think not having a starting quarterback will be I won't say it will be so humongous, but I do think it's a deal. And Cheddar Fields, although he is an experienced quarterback, but he's not their starting quarterback. It's a different look. And I do think Marshall really has a good defense. I do think the defense will stand out. But I think Mike Green will be the difference maker. He will be the difference maker. I think he's leading the nation in sacks. If he's not, he's at least top 3, top 5. He's up there. But I'm going to lean towards Marshall's run game and their defense. And I got them upset in Louisiana.
Yeah, if he doesn't lead the nation in sacks, he definitely leads it for like tackles for loss or something like that.
I can look real quick for y'all real quick. He should be leading though. 16 is crazy. I think the only person that might rival him. I think the only person that might rival him is Antoine Power Ryland from Virginia Tech. He might be the only one to rival, bro. Oh, actually, no. He's tied. Antoine Power Ryland is tied with 16. But actually, Boston College has the league leader, the nation lead leader in sacks, and Donovan. I can't pronounce this.
I think he's a defensive player of the year too.
Yeah, he has 16 and a half sacks.
Okay,
about half a sack. But yeah, APR has 16 total, which he came out in a hot start. And Mike Green has 16. And then shout out my boy. I got to shout my boy out. Kyle Kennard. He got 11 and a half. He's 5th. So I got to shout my boy out. But I do think the Marshall defense is good. I think it is. But I think Louisiana's offense is also really good and it's well balanced. I think that's going to be the issue that Marshall's going to have to face. That they're facing a well-balanced attack, especially if Ben Wolvers is back. And Ben Wolvers, if he's actually back, he adds a second dimension with his ability to run the ball. And he's a tough runner. He's somebody that's hard to bring down. He's not I know he plays quarterback, but he's not a guy that you can he's a quarterback. I don't got to. You better bring it. When Ben Wolvers is running the ball, you better bring it, or he might run you over. So I do think with that, especially if Ben Wolvers plays, I do like Marshall's defense. I think it's cool, but I do think it can be had. I'm rolling with Louisiana because of the balanced attack they have on the offensive side of the ball, and their rushing defense is 5th in the conference, so it's not that bad.
In the conference, okay.
Yeah. Any other objections?
No,
I really thought Ben was a plan though. You said
I found somewhere he might. I thought he wasn't evil, but if found somewhere that he might. I don't know, to be honest. I've looked everywhere. I can't find an update.
I don't think he's playing.
I don't think he's playing either.
Trust me, I didn't look everywhere, bro.
But
all right, so we're gonna move on to the Big Ten championship. We got Penn State at Oregon. Shout out Ty. And Trent. Shout out Ty, Trent. Penn State fans. Third ranked Penn State at number 1 overall Oregon. Now I did have Oregon in the Big Ten championship being undefeated. I did have them playing Ohio State. Did not think that Ryan Day would get bullied by Michigan. But here we go. Yet again, another year Ryan Day gets bullied. What you gonna do, Ohio State? You gonna keep him? You gonna fire him? Do y'all want to make this a tangent real quick about that?
Please, let's please.
Ryan Day, right? Cool. I'm glad we're doing this. Ryan Day. You know what his kryptonite is besides Michigan? A big game.
No.
A big game in Michigan. Those are 2 bad kryptonites to have at the Ohio State University. But yet, because he was undefeated against ranked teams and he could pick on teams that aren't to his level, he was able to keep a job. His one win against Michigan was in his first year with Urban Meyer's players. Other than that, he's 1-4 against Michigan. You know who had a better record against Michigan? Mel Tucker. He was 2-1. And you can say, well, he only played 3 games. Bruh, he played 5, and he's at Ohio State. You can't beat me. Like, you telling me you can't beat Michigan? Now, granted, you can say, well, they had hardball. They just won a natty. Cool. What are your expectations for Ohio State? To play and win for a natty. And he can't get it done. And then this year, this is the worst Michigan team in years. They can't even throw the ball. And you lose 13-10 because your offense is inept. This
year no excuse. This year was
it's just so bad. His only unranked loss is to Michigan, and they were not good.
You have the most expensive team. You have arguably the best wide receiver core in the nation. You have Caleb Downs, arguably. You have Caleb Downs.
That was a crazy pickup.
You have a crazy linebacker. You have this defensive line that's supposed to be so elite and shut down all this rushing, rush the passer, all these things. And you lose to Michigan, who barely has a quarterback that's competent enough to throw it for a first down. It's really unbelievable, and it's a fireable offense in my opinion. He honestly may need to go because, similar to somebody else that we're about to talk about, you just can't win in the big games. and if you can't win in the big games, you do not belong in the Big Ten, especially at the top of the conference. You know what I mean? It's cool to beat up on Indiana, who just got there. It's cool to beat up on Maryland, Minnesota, Washington, whoever else.
I know Michigan State in that mix. Lately, they've been whooping us.
Yeah, Michigan State too. I mean, but still, it's like when you look at the tradition of Ohio State teams, when you look at who they're supposed to be, Ryan Day does not embody that, and he needs to go.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And I just had another name in mind that I was about to say, and I can't remember who it is now. Oh, Jim Knowles. You have the best defensive coordinator in the country in Jim Knowles. And you can't beat Michigan, bro. Are you serious? Somebody might say another.
Kelly.
You said what?
I said, don't get me started on Chip Kelly.
I don't blame Chip Kelly, though. It's different coordinators, same result. It's Ryan Day. Different teams, different coordinators, same result. You lose 4 straight to these guys. All right, but that's enough. Do you want to talk about it a little bit, Joe? Or?
No, I mean, y'all said it all.
I mean, smacked in the mouth. They got smacked in
the mouth. At home.
Yeah, they couldn't even score. That was crazy.
In the horseshoe.
And you saw what we did at Michigan.
Indiana beat Michigan. And we kept it close. We lost.
Michigan
we lost 7. And we're not good.
I don't know if it's because they tried to get too cute or whatever the case may be.
But that would be a Ryan Day issue.
Yeah. It's disappointing for sure.
Ryan Day is living off the natty he went to with Justin Fields in COVID year, by the way, where they beat Northwestern in the Big Ten championship. And he's living off the close game against Georgia. And if it wasn't for Notre Dame not having enough players on the field, they'd have lost to Notre Dame in a big game last year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But all right, that's enough of the tangent. We had to get off our chest because Ryan Day he gets away with so much. But let's talk about the actual Big Ten championship game. A said it. We're talking about another head coach who cannot win the big one. James Franklin is 1-13, I believe, against top 10 and
1-13.
13 and 20, top 5, and he's 13-27 against ranked opponents. Just another guy who's at a prestigious program. Even I give it to him. Penn State ain't Ohio State. But it's a prestigious program. Joe Paterno built that program up, rest in peace, and can't get it done. His only win against a top 5 team was against Ohio State. And I granted that year, I think they got robbed. They won the Big Ten and didn't make the playoffs. That was insane. But they're going against the number 1 team in the nation in Oregon, who is good on both sides of the ball. Jabbar Muhammad at cornerback, Jacobs at linebacker. You got guys on that D-line. They have a great front 7. And to me, Penn State's offense is lackluster. You take away the run, and they have nothing. You take away. Take that back a little bit. They got Tyler Warren, the tight end. Mm-hmm. Take away Tyler Warren. Take away the run game. Drew Lock got nothing for you. He really don't. I thought he was going to take a little step as a passer this year. Got nothing for you. They had a new offensive coordinator. Looked cool against West Virginia, but West Virginia kind of showed that they ain't what they were last year. I think they let go of their defensive coordinator. So I'm rolling Oregon. Dylan Gabriel, that offense, they're rolling. They're going to be tough to stop. I think they got a defense that's going to stop the run. Nick Singleton and Katron Allen is going to have a tough day on the ground, and it's going to be up to Drew Allard to see if he can win the game with his arm, and I don't think he gets it done. Go ahead, Joe.
Man, so I think this will be a low-scoring game. Penn State, man, you want to pick them, but like you said, offensively, they have struggled against every good team they played against. They couldn't score. Every good defense they played against. I do think Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart will have big games this game. But I do think it would be a low scoring game. Like you said, he's 1-13 against 5. He's 1-13 against top 5 teams and against outscored by 14 points per game. So all these games aren't close. I know they just lost. Who did they lose to a couple of weeks ago?
They lost to Ohio State by 7.
State.
Yeah, Ohio State. That was a close game. Again, that was a close game. That's why I wanted to lean towards them because they did do a great job against Ohio State. I do think Penn State defense is legit, but so is Oregon, and Oregon's also good offensively. So I do think Penn State will put a lot of pressure on Dylan Gabriel. I do think they do a good job putting pressure on the quarterback, but just their offense is not good enough. So I can't pick Penn State, and plus the history with James Franklin. So I got to go with Oregon just because those two reasons, their offense and the history behind James Franklin against these top teams.
Ways.
Yeah, I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. I will say I don't think either of these teams need to win to make the playoff. I think they both will probably get in there no matter what the outcome is. I have questions of who this game means more to. Does it mean more to Penn State, who rarely gets this opportunity? Or does it mean more to Oregon, who's coming in as a first-year team in the conference, the number one team in the nation, and possibly the chance to do something that only Michigan State has done and beat Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State all in the same year?
Say that again.
Oregon has the chance to be. Who said that, Carl? All right, no, I'm not saying it again. When I first was thinking of this game, I thought it was going to be like an aggression versus speed kind of thing. But when I think more on it, Oregon is just the best team in the country, in my opinion. There's nothing that they don't do well. They may not do everything elite, but I think the toughest part, or the weakest part of this team may be the run defense. Maybe. You know what I mean? And, they have an elite receiving core. Dan Lanning seems to just be motivating these guys week in and week out to put their best foot forward. I mean, Dylan Gabriel, I don't think he's the best quarterback in the league or anything like that, but he's definitely, has control of this offense with Tez Johnson back out there. The sky's the limit of the explosive plays these guys can make. They can also run the ball very well, I think Penn State needs a very messy game in order to make this game competitive, because I think Oregon wins, and I think they can cover a touchdown or possibly more. You know what I mean? I just don't trust this Penn State offense. I do think that if they use Tyler Warren and putting him in motion, lining him up in the backfield out wide and tight end, doing different things with him, can definitely give them an opportunity to confuse this Oregon defense and possibly, take some pressure off of Drew Aller, who doesn't really make big plays when he's under pressure. Both of these quarterbacks are above average, and when you look at their stats when they're pressured, you can't say that. All right, maybe not.
I don't know if I say Drew Aller, but
maybe not Drew Aller. All right. But when you look at their stats, they're both pretty well when it's a clean pocket. Now, granted, both of their stats drop when they're under pressure, but I think the difference is when it's Dylan Gabriel under pressure, he may not be as efficient, but they still have the opportunity to make explosive plays with their athletes. When you look at Aller, when he's under pressure, the big plays don't happen at all. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be a big difference, because Oregon could probably get pressure on him without blitzing. And that's going to be very, very key. And also, Penn State's defense plays better when they have a lead, because they can pin their ears back and, just go after anybody. These guys, they aren't that great versus the rush either. You know what I mean? They allow like a pretty decent amount of yards per carry. And, just when I have to choose between James Franklin and the big game, I just can't choose him. I can't.
That's a great point with the explosive plays, though.
I agree. And then I want to add on to that point. I feel like Drew Aller, if you put pressure on him, he's not looking to throw the ball. He's looking to just run. I don't think he's looking to downfield to extend the play. I think he's just going to take off. Like you said, Dylan Gabriel, you get him under pressure, he's at least looking downfield to find somebody before he just takes off. Another thing I want to talk about is the running backs, because the emergence of Noah Whittington for Oregon has been huge as a backup running back, because now Jordan James don't have to take all the carries. You can use Jordan James, get him out, spell him, and Noah Whittington, you don't get no drop-off with that. And I think that is huge. I do think, like you said, Penn State ain't the greatest against the run. We remember the USC game. Woody Marks ran all through Penn State in that first half. I do like your point about Tyler Warren. I love Tyler Warren. I think they even had him at quarterback a couple times, just doing some misdirection, funky stuff. But Tyler Warren can line out offset at tight end. He don't have to be on the line of scrimmage. He can line up in that backfield. They can do a lot with Tyler Warren. But a guy that y'all didn't talk about that I think is huge is Trayshawn Holden. Trayshawn Holden is huge for Oregon. He's another guy who's explosive, who can take a screen and go the distance. He can take a drag and go the distance or get a lot of yak for the Oregon Ducks. I know Evan Stewart and Ted Johnson are big play players themselves, but I think Trayshawn Holden just control his emotions and not spit on nobody. He'd be huge for the Oregon Ducks as well. Oregon defense, I think they will be better against one because they know they have to stop the run and make Drew Allard beat them. So I think they will be better against the run. Even though I don't think they're that bad. I know Ohio State were able to get plays on the ground, but they got Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins as well in that backfield. So I think the run defense will be better this week. And like you said, man, I just can't trust James Franklin. And to answer your question, who this game means more to, I think it means more to Oregon. Why? This is Dylan Gabriel's last hurrah. Ain't no more years of eligibility after this. Drew Allard could come back. James Franklin, they're not firing him. He'll be back, especially making the Big Ten championship game. This is Dylan Gabriel's, like I said, this is last year. And I think it's Ted Johnson and Evan Stewart's last year as well. I think they have a lot of seniors on this team. With this game, made me more. So I think they want to go out with a bang. They want to win this game, and they want to keep stacking championships on the way to possibly a natty.
I do think for this year alone, it's Penn State because this a dark cloud is over them with going against these top teams. I mean, you go into the playoffs, it's most likely if you get deep in the playoffs, you're going to go against a top 5 team in the nation. So I think that getting that dark cloud over James Franklin's record of losing to these top 5 teams will be huge going into the bracket.
So you say it's a dark cloud over James Franklin. I think James Franklin is the dark cloud.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say though, when you look back at the Penn State Ohio State game and you compare that to the Ohio State and Oregon game, I mean, they were both very close games, and to be honest, I believe that Penn State only lost that game because of the red zone inefficiencies. You know what I mean? If they could have really gotten the red zone and put 7 points on the board as they should have, it's probably a different outcome. You know what I mean? And when I look at that,
it's constant in big games against good defenses. That's constant.
Very true, very fair. But I also like Penn State secondary too. I think that they do match up pretty well against Oregon State. If they can disrupt that timing and make Dylan Gabriel hold the ball a second, maybe half a second longer than he usually does, because he does get rid of the ball quickly. If they can do that, disrupt the timing, make it a nasty game, they're going to have to take some big shots, on both sides of the ball. You know what I'm saying? You can throw haymakers, but you can't protect your chin too. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to have to pick and choose their shots.
I feel you. I just look at Penn State in big games and Oregon in big games, and I see Oregon's able to put up points, and Penn State just flat out not able to put up points. And Oregon has a pretty good defense. Penn State does as well. But again, they do allow plays to have – I mean, it's defense. You're not going to completely shut somebody out, especially a top-tier team. It's just not going to happen. And what you want to do when your defense – all right, defense, they gave up a touchdown this drive. We got to match it. Are you going to be able to match it is the question.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing for sure.
All right. Is that everybody got their piece for the Big Ten?
Yes, sir.
And we move on to our last conference championship game, the ACC. Now, Ace, I'm not going to have you go first. All right? I'm going to let you go last. Let's go last. We got Clemson at SMU. Now, in the preseason, I picked Clemson and Louisville, but I had Clemson as the top seed, and I had Louisville, SMU, and Miami all tied in second place. And I just gave it to alphabetical order because I didn't know how the tiebreakers was going to work. They're funky in college. I'm sorry. So I just went alphabetical order. Louisville was the first team. So I gave it to Louisville. Now, obviously, SMU's in it, and they're the top seed. I picked Clemson to win in the preseason. I'm changing my pick. I'm going SMU. Why? I've seen SMU become more physical throughout the year. They have been way better when they stuck with Kevin Jennings. Kevin Jennings is not I wouldn't say Preston Stone is a stationary target, but he's way more of a stationary target than Kevin Jennings is. Kevin Jennings is a guy who can use his legs. He brings an added dimension to the offense. And the emergence of Brashard Smith, me and Ace talked about him pre-show, has been amazing for this SMU offense. Defensively, I think they have the cornerbacks to match Antonio Williams and TJ Moore and Brian Westco. They just have to stop the run of Phil Maffa and Cade Klubnik at quarterback. If you can stop Cade Klubnik, and make him beat you with his arm, I think SMU absolutely has a chance to win this game. I don't trust Cade Klubnik to pass the ball. I haven't trusted it since 2 years ago when him and DJ Ungalale was on the same team. Yes, he's better, but how much is better when you were at the bottom? There's only no way to go but up. DJ actually went down, which is kind of surprising, but I just don't trust Cade Klubnik. I don't. You remember last week he was driving through the game, losing interception against South Carolina. Against Louisville, got pressured. You stopped the run for real. Clemson couldn't really do much. They were missing field goals. And that's another thing I want to bring up. Clemson has some special team issues, especially with the kicking game. And as a Raven fan, I know that can hurt you in a ball game. So if SMU can get through and block kicks, and maybe Clemson might miss one. SMU also want to speak about great kickers. SMU has a great kicker who can hit from distance. So that's another advantage in special teams. So I'm rolling with SMU with guys like Romello Brinson. I think RJ Maryland's out for the year, but they got other guys on that perimeter who can make plays at the wide receiver spot. You got Bashard Smith at the backfield. Kevin Jennings can run the ball, extend plays. I'd like Clemson. I think this might be a defensive battle, but I think that honestly favors SMU. SMU does not want Clemson to score a lot of points because if that happens, that means you have to match going against that Clemson defense. So I'm rolling with SMU.
Hey, I know being the Steelers fan, having a kicker is very valuable, right?
Very, very. Can't be understated, actually.
All right, but Dave O'Swinney, he is 8-0 in his last 8 ACC championship games. He only lost his first one that he did. Clemson, high power offense in the nation. One of them high power offenses. But I'm with you, Carl. I'm going with SMU. And I just think they're just a complete team. I think they're a complete team. Clemson isn't. They have one of the best defenses in the nation. Clemson, I look at their road to this journey, their road to this game. I'm looking at 3 games that stood out to me when they play 3 good teams.
I think it's the same 3. Go ahead.
Yeah, the same thing you just said. Georgia, 31-3. South Carolina, they only put up 14 points. They put up 3 points against Georgia, and it's a high-power offense. 14 against South Carolina. And Louisville, the score was 33-21, but it was 26-7 going into the fourth.
Garbage time. Yep.
So a lot of garbage time stuff. So just like Carl said, it's right in my notes. They are going to pressure Cade to get the ball in his hands quick, and they're also really good at stopping the run. So that's Clemson right there. You do that, you start Klubnik, and you stop the run, you basically got Clemson. And then I think the one thing that SMU got to worry about is taking care of the ball. I feel like Clemson does a good job of turning the ball over. Forcing turnovers, and SMU doesn't do a good job in protecting the ball, So I would say they just focus on having a clean game. They should win this game. So I'm going SMU.
Ways.
Yeah, I think this game has a lot of interesting angles, to be honest. You have the new kids on the block with SMU coming off an American Conference Championship last year, trying to win their second in a row in the new conference in a group of 5. A Power 5. At that, you have Clemson, who have won the ACC 8 straight years. Not 8 straight. Florida State won last year. Well, eight of the last 10. Yeah. At the very least, essentially coming in, playing with house money, not supposed to be there. They have literally nothing to lose, to be honest, besides a playoff berth that they probably really wasn't even in the mix of being in. You know what I mean? I was talking to Carl before the show started, talking about there could be a very fun storyline between these two teams of SMU being a team that has a ton of transfers that came in versus Clemson, a team that had virtually no transfers.
No, they had none. He didn't use it.
Oh, none. Oh, none. Or at least none that he used. You know what I mean?
No, he didn't use the portal at all. He was like one of 3 teams that didn't use the portal.
Oh, even worse. But the way people have been looking at Dabo Swinney the past few years, saying Clemson has fallen off, not using the transfer portal. If he loses this game, the heat's going to be on, I believe. You know what I mean? However, if he wins the game, he has the luxury of being like, I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? You guys can talk, but that's why I'm making millions of dollars and recruiting these players that I'm doing and developing them. So I think that's pretty cool. And I think that's definitely something that's going to be played for, a team that's been there before, a team that hasn't necessarily. However, I do like SMU in this matchup. I think Rhett Lashley, the prodigal son returned after his stint in Miami, and he basically changed his team from just the offensive juggernaut that they were when Sonny Dykes was there, but now they're offensive juggernaut with the actual defense that can stop people. This defense has had 84 sacks in the last 2 years, which is the second most in the nation in that span. They allow only 95 yards rushing per game, which is fourth in the FBS. They have a disciplined secondary. I think that, the key to stopping Clemson will definitely be stopping the run. I think Phil Maffa is a really good player, but I think he has regressed a bit in the past few weeks. He's definitely not been as effective as he was earlier in the season. Cade Klubnik, not a lot of people are high on him, even though I do think that he's improved this year. I think he's playing a far better football than he was last year. I do, Carl. I do. I know you don't like him, but I do.
I agree. It's just like that's not the standard was set so low.
Sure, and that's fair. But you know what's funny? His downfield passing ratings were better than Trevor Lawrence's. Like he's been more successful throwing the ball downfield than Trevor Lawrence, who was the first round.
I feel you.
Whatever he was.
I bet if you look at the Trevor schedules in those two.
Sure. But all I'm saying is he ain't a dub. That's all I'm saying. Like he can make some plays happen, especially with his legs. You know what I mean? We've seen him steal a game. Who was that versus Pitt?
Pitt when he ran that 50-yard quarterback draw
run. You know what I mean? It's crazy. If they can capitalize on those downfield matchups on the outside, it definitely opens up so much more for them in the running game. And if they can do that, then they're probably going to be winning in the trenches too, in my belief. Now, this is just that was advocate for them, but I do still think SMU is going to win. Also, another key component of this game will be the first quarter. SMU is one of the best teams in the first quarter in the nation. They actually in the first half, rather, they scored 139 points, more points than their opponents in the first half. While Clemson, they've had 7 turnovers in the first quarter and allowing less than 2 points per game in the first quarter. So I think whoever wins that definitely has the upper hand in winning this game. I like Kevin Jennings. I think he can improvise pretty well. He steps up in the pocket well when he's under pressure. And he lets that thing rip. You know what I mean? He could run a little bit. I think he's a pretty good guy. He's in command of this offense. And Brashard Smith, I'm glad he's getting the opportunity to really showcase his talents and show the nation that he really is a playmaker. And I always thought that when he was at Miami, the guy could return kicks, catch deep passes and everything. But now as a running back, he looks legit like a natural running back. And I'm like, dang, why didn't we use him like that? But I mean, I'm very high on SMU, and I think that not only for our chances to make the playoff, but I think that they are just probably the better team this year.
Hey, we both room for SMU. South Carolina cannot allow Clemson to be a bit still either, brother. I feel you. I agree. I agree a lot with y'all saying. But another game that I look at, to be honest, Joe, is the Stanford game. Yes, they want to blow off in that fashion. But that's because Stanford, Ashton Daniels kept turning the ball over in the red zone. But he was moving the ball. I think Clemson has trouble against mobile quarterbacks, and that's what Kevin Jennings is. Lenore Sellers, he didn't throw a touchdown. But if you look at that game, despite all those turnovers, they could not stop Lenore Sellers from running the football. The mobile quarterback seems to be an issue for the Clemson Tigers defense. And I think Kevin Jennings is one of the best in the ACC. And I think that's going to be an issue for the Clemson Tigers defense as well. So I think SMU wins this ball game. Any other quarrels about this ACC championship game?
Nope. SMU, let's go.
All right. Well, that's all 9 conference championship games. Before I let y'all say y'all last words, I would like to say that this episode was absolutely fun. And this is just like a prelude to Sunday. I know Ace will be there Sunday for the college football playoff bracket reveal. The show should be at 12. From what I saw from Twitter 4, I don't think it's going to be 4 hours. I get it. Last year was a 14 playoff bracket. This year's 12. I just don't see it necessary for a 4-hour show unless they're revealing the bowl games, which I probably won't stay on for that. It's NFL Sunday. But Joe, last words.
Yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do Sunday. If I can't do the whole thing, I'm gonna see if I can get in, on certain moments. Like that's a whole game, whole show. so I can get it in certain moments. All right, but this was fun. You know, first time doing the whole recap with you on CTC. First time doing the show with Ace. You know, so that was good. I didn't once I saw Ace was on, like okay, I got to be my A game. I got to be my A game because Carl and Ace they know what they talking about. But shout out to Texas. You know, like Ace said in his preview of the game, we the new kids on the block. You know, SEC supposed to be the biggest conference in football. A lot of people doubted Texas of getting here. You know, a lot of people who were fans of the SEC. I think the outsiders knew Texas could get here, but a lot of people within the SEC didn't see this happening. And you know, you got bullied by Georgia. I think it's a perfect moment. You get bullied, you get humbled, and now you see Georgia again in Georgia, which is crazy. All right, this is cheating. I don't know what's going on.
That's just the venue, brother. That's just the venue.
You know, by the way, I used to live in Adden. I don't know if J-Mo told you, Carl. We used to live in Adden. We used to go to Core Middle School. Shout out to y'all. But anyways, let's go Texas, Sacramento. Come on, y'all. Y'all can't get the winning streak going. Come on, Sacramento Kings. And my Commanders, you know, that was a big win against Tennessee. I know the Steelers got us. I know the Ravens got us. Y'all feeling I got y'all. But we in the NFC. We ain't gonna see y'all unless it gets the bowl. So I ain't worried about y'all right now. But look. Shout out to the Commanders. Let's finish the season strong. Let's walk them Packers and get that fifth seed.
I ain't got no beef with you, Joe. The Commanders, you the cool fan with me. You don't want to really be with. Go ahead, Ace. Last words.
Yeah, man. You know, thanks again for having me. You know, it's always fun when I get on here. Sorry for that, you know, little mishap, whatever just happened.
It's all good.
But you know, as you can see, I'm decked out in my gear. You know, it's Miami or nothing. I hope Clemson gets demolished, so they're not even a thought of doing anything. I'm sorry, South Carolina. I hope y'all don't get the bid. Alabama, please go roll in a ditch somewhere. I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of people talking about them. I wish we had a play-in game. I swear to God, I wish we had a play-in game so we could literally dog them and show the nation that we are the best offense in the nation. We deserve to be in the playoff. We only lost by a combined 9 points against two teams. One who went to the wire with Georgia, who's supposed to be one of the best teams in the nation. Syracuse, who is a pretty good team in my opinion. You know, they are the only other offense passing wise that are like us. You know what I mean? These guys, like, we get disrespected so much. It is insane. We literally have to be perfect to get our respect. And, you know, we're not perfect. No team is perfect. But you know what we are? We fighters. And we're going to fight. And I swear to God, if they give us the chance to be in there, y'all going to see some things, man. As long as Mario don't mess it up, y'all going to see some things. And Shannon Dawson, because he been getting on my nerves too. But that's neither here nor there.
All right, so I'm gonna have some last words, but before my last words, one, I gotta catch up on these comments because I've neglected the comment section, so I do gotta catch up on that real quickly. Shout out my boy Brent Key. Y'all know I've been a fan of Brent Key since he took over as the interim head coach at Georgia Tech. Mario Cristobal might not be a fan of him, but Georgia Tech has agreed to a 5-year contract with extension with Coach Brent Key that extends him through 2029 season. That gives Key 2 additional years and includes a significant pay raise. Ace, I get it. I know why you're doing that, brother. You got to deal with it.
At least we don't play them for another 4 years.
Joe, if you're confused, Georgia Tech is the team where Mario Cristobal should have took a knee, decided to run a play, fumble, and then they lost the game because Georgia Tech scored the last-minute touchdown. And then this year, they lost. They were undefeated and lost to Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I know this year they lost to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, but last year was the should have took a knee. They would have just the clock would have ran out.
He was down. That fumble, he was down.
Bro, they had to get it.
They
probably gave the fumble to them off of pure stupidity.
Hey, do you think if Georgia Tech would have beaten Georgia, y'all would have a shot to get in?
It wouldn't be so much of the we would actually have a good loss if they beat Georgia.
That's still a good loss to me.
And I would knock Georgia.
It is to me, but not to the committee who said, they lost 2 out of 3. Alabama played an FCS team. Mercer got skunked by Oklahoma and played Auburn, who's booty this year. I mean, come on now. Like I don't know who's paying them, but I wish I had enough money to pay them more.
Hey, also, let's not forget that the committee has an active AD on the committee. Michigan's active athletic director is a part of the college football committee, which is insane. Like, just imagine if Michigan's on the outskirts. Of course, he's obviously going to want his team to get in. Like, that's
Talk
crazy.
about conflict of interest.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, next comment, Javon left the fire emoji. Appreciate you, my boy. Make sure y'all check out RBO. Dave Marshall, he got Marshall over Louisiana. He also, he had Penn State, but then he switched his pick to Oregon. He says, "You're right, I'm switching my pick," and then he went to Oregon. Which is no shame. And then he said I was being petty for making Ace repeat that stat. How's that petty, man? I'm just trying to let people know, man. People really be crapping on my MSU spots. Like, we have nothing. Like, I be trying to tell y'all, like, the 4 years I went to MSU was the golden years of MSU. We won the Big Ten, I think, twice. We made the playoffs. We got smacked by Alabama, but we made the playoffs and we made the Final Four. They're the reason why I've been to a Final Four game. We got smacked by Duke, but I was in attendance because we made it. So those were the golden years for MSU. And then we got a new guy. Shout out Brian. He said, "Sko Ducks." I hope y'all beat Penn State because we got a Penn State fan that's going to be he's just going to be intolerable.
Man, Oregon could possibly win that game by double digits, I think.
I hope so, because Ty, if they win, is going to be intolerable. Then Dave says the U, and he says roll in the ditch, and then he says, "I'm sorry, Ace." I don't know why he said I'm sorry for, but
right, you with me. You with me. You ain't got nothing to be sorry for.
I don't know why I apologize. But my last words is I appreciate y'all for coming on the show. This is one of the more fun shows I've ever had on CTC. I'm not going to lie. I love these type of shows. That's why I was trying to do a game day show this year. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But, man, I loved it. I can't wait for these conference games that come on in 2 hours. Let's go, Jack State. Y'all know I've been flying with Jack State. Not my team, but a team I root for since last year when they beat UTEP as their first home game as an FBS team. First win period as an FBS team. Man, where do I start? MSU basketball 7-2. We got a big game against Nebraska tomorrow at noon, which sucks because conference championships will be on. I'm probably gonna miss it. Pistons, hey man, just keep being competitive, keep playing well. I love what I limitedly see this year, but I love it nonetheless. Ravens, get it together. Hopefully this bye week. We got a hater below us, but it's all good. They're gonna lose out and lose the division. Don't you worry. And see y'all Sunday, man. I know Dave said he's possibly gonna be there. Oh, okay. He said it. He said it's for the Brent Key News. Okay, that's understandable.
All right, yeah.
I can't wait if you can make it Sunday. And you're part of the Refuse to Lose Network and or a member, please let me know. I can't wait for the college football bracket. South Carolina, please. Hey, look, Ace, I hope we both get in. It'd be cool if we could both get in. Because I think I would love that. Teams.
I would love that because I think South Carolina, of anybody that's playing right now, they are probably the hottest team in the nation right now. If they didn't lose they lost to Vandy, right?
No, we beat Vandy. We lost to LSU because Lenore Sellers got hurt. We lost to Alabama. Yeah. Ryan Williams
that was the wild one. That was the wild one. The LSU loss was the wild one. But
yeah, because they had the pick six and they had a
either one of those games, if y'all lose either one of those games, y'all are playing in the championship game and possibly winning.
Yeah.
Now
we lost to LSU, Bama, and we lost to Ole Miss. Ole Miss was a blowout. They just beat us.
I will say one thing. Steelers Nation.
Anyway, so that's all we got for y'all today. Make sure y'all tune in to CTC on Sunday. Oh, by the way, there will be no dog of the week this week. Obviously, as you can tell, I picked all favorites. Not even intentional. It just made my picks. I looked at the spreads, and so I could put the spreads on the joint, and they just all happened to be favorites. You was about to say something, Joe?
Yeah, I do want to say this. The committee, I'm going to mention it to y'all. It's an Ace for Ace. The committee said if SMU loses, Alabama still will have a chance to get in.
Yeah, that's crazy. Do y'all want to talk about that real quick or no?
That's crazy.
Yeah, they did say that. You didn't see that?
No.
A lot of people are saying that SMU should not play and make the committee make a decision, which is go when
how would they do that? How would they do that?
But that makes no sense.
Yeah.
How does SMU might not get in because they're playing an extra game, which is their conference championship, but Alabama's going to get in, and they have 3 losses, and they're not even close for the what? I would say they're close, but they're not even in it.
They're 11th. They're like right on the borderline. Like,
yeah.
It's a good thing we don't curse on here because I have a lot to say.
Oh, trust me. It's tough to restrain myself sometimes.
That's ridiculous.
I've just been doing it for almost 2 years, so I'm good now. But trust me.
Paul Feinbaum, I keep saying this. I blame so much on Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah. But he's an SEC show, so like I get it.
Yeah,
but when he's not talking SEC, especially when he be talking about us, oh, he don't hold back, bro. Just be saying anything out his mouth. And I swear, if I saw him on the street,
all right, chill. Like, you better mess it up for me. We better go somewhere crazy. You better mess it up for me. Hey, we in the group chat, brother. You can tell it to me. Okay.
Put them dukes up, and I ain't talking about James Madison.
I feel you. By the way, speaking of Duke, they might be screwed how they not ranked, but that's a different topic for another day. Thank y'all again for tuning in to CTC. I will be back Sunday. Y'all go enjoy some college football, some college basketball. We gone. Peace.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.